Hey everyone, it's Leadership Development Coach Kathy Archer. Are you achieving the right results in the right way for the right reason? It's a skill that the most effective leaders have figured out. And that's what we're going to talk to today. We're going to talk about today is achieving results, but not just any results and not just plowing through and achieving results, but getting those results in a way that help you to be the most effective leader that you can be. Before we get there, I'm going to pop on over into my Confident Women Leaders group and share this. So give me a second while I get the technology piece set up. But while I'm doing that, please make a note in the chat box if you are joining me live or if you're following, just say hello. Give me a heads up of where you are, listening in from today. Because we like to see who's joining us and where you're all from, and maybe even, while I'm doing this, what type of organization you're in, what type of leadership position you have, something like that. That's always exciting for all of us to know. So again, if you are interested in growing your leadership and developing your leadership, you might be interested in joining my Confident Women Leaders group. This is a private Facebook group for women leaders who want to make a difference and know that in the process of doing that, they might need some help and want to be surrounded by other women who are doing meaningful work and wanting to make their difference and wanting to do it in a way that grows and develops them and lets them have a bigger life and enjoy the rest of their life as well. So this is a group of women who chat and connect and support each other, share resources, and I'm there to support you and grow along the way. So if that's something you're interested, head on over there to Confident Women Leaders Group. I will share the link in the notes when we're done this session so that you can do that. Again, today we're talking about achieving results. Are you achieving the right results in the right way for the right reason? Many of us know of somebody who has plowed ahead, made a ton of money, and lost their family in the process, or their health in the process. Many of us know that there are a ton of, very wealthy criminals out there. That doesn't mean they've made money for the right reason. We know of situations where we achieve something and then get there and maybe it isn't really what we wanted, or we didn't feel proud of how we got there, or we left kind of a mess in the wake behind us. And so when we're looking at achieving the right results in the right way for the right reason, we're looking at what is it we're trying to achieve, how we're trying to achieve that, and why. And so I've got lots of notes today to help me kind of walk you through not only what that looks like, but what are the skills you need to do to get there? What are the skills that you need to develop if you want to be the type of leader who gets those results that are meaningful results and in a way that is, building your team, building your community around you, and that you can feel proud of at the end of the day rather than, exhausted and drained and moving on to the next thing, but not really feeling like you've done meaningful stuff. So that's what we're talking about today. So again, think of the situations in life, in your work, in the situations around you where you or other people have got results perhaps, but those results are maybe not the results you're looking for or the way you're looking for. Hello to whoever just joined. Say hello in the chat box. I can't see. I always try and check in to see who's joining me, but I've never quite figured out when I'm on my computer how to do that. So I don't know who's joining me. Whoever it is, make a note in the chat box. If you want to say hello, let me know you're joining me. Again, we're talking about achieving results, the right way. Hey, Latha, great to see you. I'm glad you joined in. The right results in the right way for the right reason. So that what, how, why. So I think about, again, I use the example of, many people make millions, but that doesn't mean they're doing it for a good reason. One of the other things, I was just thinking about, just little things like I have been known to cut vegetables and cut my finger. Like my kids know that I'm notoriously bad for cutting my fingers when I'm cutting vegetables. Obviously, I'm not doing it in the right way. I've never learned kind of how to be effective at doing that. I've watched people unwrap boxes or gifts and just mangle it. make a disaster of it. And I've seen people just cringe because they know that you could have reused that gift bag, or, there was some, repurposing in the box that you just mangled. And so there's different kind of examples when you think about it, from small to big. But if we're not doing things in the right way, or the right way for us or our team or organization, it's not very helpful. So one of the challenges that many of us have to deal with in life is work-life balance. And so, what we often find is that what we're doing is trying to make enough money to survive, right? We're trying to make a good living. And how we tend to do that is by plowing through, working, 60 hours plus a week. And what we're trying to do, the why part, so the what is we want to make a living, how we do it is we work many, many hours stretching ourselves unbalanced. And why we're doing it is we're trying to prove something to somebody. We're trying to keep up with the Joneses. We're trying to make our parents, our spouse, whoever, proud of us. And so those are often the wrong reasons that we're doing it, and the way we're doing it isn't so helpful. I'm going to flip my paper here, so I apologize for the sounds and the shuffling of paper. But if we kind of switch that around, what we might actually be looking for is to live happily within our means. And so when we do that, the way we do that is we start to live more of a balanced lifestyle. Rather than plowing forward and working so many hours a day, stretching ourselves beyond exhaustion, we start to balance that. And what we find is that we can find a way to have both meaning in work and healthy lifestyle and, our family that lives in balance. So that's a personal example of, when we achieve results in the right way, in the right manner, and for the right reason. Many of us, though, in our work situations are doing things like we're trying to get through perhaps accreditation or standards review or an audit or something. So that might be the what we're trying to achieve. How we're trying to achieve that is, pushing our staff. We are demanding, we're perfectionists, and we're just plowing forward to get those results. I remember back when I was working through accreditation, if I got one thing that was marked as needs work or, not quite up to like 100%, I was ticked. I was frustrated. And that's still me today to a very much degree. I'm a high results orientated person. I want to know that what I'm doing is making a big difference. I want to know that I am getting good results. But how I do that has to be in a way that is helpful to people, supportive of people, and growing them. So if I'm pushing forward in stretching people, demanding of them, they're going to fall on the wayside. And the reason I might be doing it that way is because I might be looking to get a promotion or a raise, or I might be wanting to make my boss happy. There's often sort of those ulterior motives about why we're trying to get an excellent review on our accreditation process or our standards, or getting through audits with high performance. If we look at it differently, we still might be trying to achieve excellence, but the manner in which we do that is by sort of rallying the troops, and it's by utilizing their strengths, and it's motivating them from within. And the outcome then is not that we're trying to do this so that we look good, but so that we make this powerful impact on our clients. That mission within us, that reason we're doing this, is the big why, isn't to make us look good and isn't to make people proud of us, but to actually make that bigger difference. And so that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about achieving the right results in the right way for the right reason. That's what we have to do. Many people in leadership positions attain incredible results, but at a crazy cost. They lose the people around them, and they don't actually feel good at the end of the day. Again, you can make $1 million, but if you aren't healthy, aren't happy, aren't surrounded by people who love you, what good is all that money? You can plow forward and, make your program look good, but does it feel good? Is it actually making a difference for the clients in a way that's meaningful for them? That's what we want to do. And in order to do those things, you have to have some really good skills underneath you. See, here's the problem that we get into sometimes is is that instead of achieving results in that way, what we tend to do is we comply, or we settle, or we go along with the flow, or we do a lot of pleasing. We just go along with what sort of is happening. We spend a lot of time trying to make everybody happy. And when we're doing that, it's really hard to achieve some of those incredible results because, well, A, you can never make everybody happy. And when you start to get wishy-washy and settle over here, somebody's getting frustrated. Somebody's waiting for a decision. You're not making the decision because you're, still gathering information, trying to figure out what the best way is. You're often not looking at that bigger purpose. What you're looking at is kind of head down, oh, somebody's going to be mad if I do this wrong. Somebody's going to be frustrated. And so we get caught in that place of complying or, pleasing people. Or, as I said earlier, we get in that place of just powering through and pushing everybody and being controlling and demanding. And so what we have to find is kind of that middle ground. And those skills that are required to do that take some work and some effort and some training to do. They're not sort of the things that, sorry, having trouble turning my page, not sort of the things that many of us are, gifted with easily at the beginning of our leadership career. So when you're looking at achieving in a way that is powerfully leading your team forward, what you're looking at is having a sense of power, but it's a power for a bigger purpose, and it's a power that comes from within, rather than that power that feels like you have to control other people and demand of other people and push your way through. It's a power that says, I'm comfortable in my own skin. I have a sense of self-confidence. I may not have it all right. I may not know all the answers. We may make mistakes along the way, but we're going to learn in the process, and we're going to grow together, and we're going to develop together, and we're going to do that for the bigger purpose. We have a vision. We have some goals out there. We're clear on the direction we're going, and we're going to, come alongside each other, work together, utilize our strengths, stay connected to that compelling vision. Let that pull us forward, rather than this one person standing behind everybody else, whipping them into shape, and pushing their way through, or this kind of wet noodle over there going, yeah, I don't know, we'll just kind of see what happens. Neither of those approaches work very well to create the dynamic that you're looking for and to get the results that you're looking for. If you're looking to get those high results that are meaningful results in a way that builds your team, that uses your team's strengths, you have to do it in a way that focuses on that vision and brings them forward. So here's some of the skills that you need to look at to do this. Pop in if you have any questions. If I'm going too fast, if I'm not making sense, if you want me to expand on some aspect more, and you can do this after the fact. If you're watching the replay after, pop in and ask questions, and I'll expand more, give you more information. And as you're watching this, if you're finding it helpful, make sure that you're sharing it. Again, I do this work because I think that there are many of us women leaders out there who are struggling a little bit, feeling isolated and alone, not sure exactly what we're doing. Moved up into these positions because we didn't have the training. We moved up into these positions because we were good at the front line, but we haven't had the leadership training. We haven't had the support. And my guess is people in your network are feeling that way too. So share this information, share it back in your teams. Make sure that other people are getting the support they need as well to grow and develop themselves in their leadership. So again, we're talking about the skills needed to become that most effective leader. This is a series of five sessions I'm doing on excellence in leadership. And part of the reason I wanted to do this, if you read the little blurb in the invite for the event today, is I have this tool called the Leadership Circle. And I use this assessment with women who are in my Women with Grit program, as well as other leaders who are just looking for a really well-rounded 360 assessment. Many people have never had one, or not one that's given them really good feedback. The leadership circle does that. And I think one of the things that was really important for me in doing this was to help people understand. I've been talking for the last few weeks about, management skills and leadership skills are different. You need to be clear on developing yourself. You need to grow yourself. You need to have a plan. But what I realized along the way is, sometimes we're not exactly sure what those skills are. We know we need to learn how to manage spreadsheets and figure out timesheets, and we know that maybe we need to learn how to schedule, take minutes from staff meetings and turn those into information for people, all that kind of stuff. But then what about leading? What about motivating staff? What about, achieving vision and goals? What are the skills needed to do that? That's really very different. And so I realized at some point that I need to pop in here and give you some information about those skills and what it is that you need to be looking at to develop in yourself so that you can be that most effective leader, so that you can make that difference. So over the course of today and the next few weeks, I'm going to go into sort of 5 basic areas of skills. Today we're talking about the one achieving results. And this is going to get you from, being sort of an okay leader or manager or, coordinator, director, or whatever your title is, to really excelling at leadership, really taking you and your team and your programs to that next level. And this focus on achieving results is one of the ones that's going to help you get there. It's one of the ones that's going to take you from demanding results and powering through and pushing your team through to get results, to really feeling the power coming from within you and within your team to achieve results that matter, that make a difference for people around you, for your clients, for the community that you work in, for the better good of society in general. And that's what really keeps us connected to our job. Yes, we can make money, and there's nothing wrong with making money, and there's nothing wrong with making an incredible, difference in growing your programs and having a bigger reach, but for what purpose? If we haven't connected to that bigger purpose, then we're missing something. And I've just realized my computer's not plugged in, so I'm going to plug it in quickly here before I lose power, and then y'all lose me, so 2 seconds. The other thing I wanted to jump in here and tell you quickly is, so as I say, this is the leadership circle, which is this course or this assessment that I do. But much of the information comes out of this book, which is the guy who developed the leadership circle. Him and his colleague have written this book called Mastering Leadership, and in it really goes through this stuff in detail. And I think this is the stuff that excites me most, is if I want to be a good leader and I want to support you in being the best leader you can be, how do we do that in a way that's meaningful and powerful and grows you as an individual? And that's what we need to look at. So that's where that comes from. So if you're looking for that, I'll put the link into it after. So to achieve results, there are 4 basic skills that we're talking about here that you need to develop as a leader so that you can achieve results that matter in a way that feels good. Decisiveness, achieving results, powerful, purposeful, and visionary. And the 4th one is, make sure I get this right, strategic focus. So the first one is decisiveness. You've all been around somebody who is horrible at making decisions, where it's been painful, and maybe this is you, where it's been painfully slow, and they hem and they haw and they deliberate and they wonder, and tomorrow they still won't have made the decision, and the next day you're all patiently waiting or impatiently waiting for them to make a decision, or they push it off to somebody else, or they get that analysis paralysis where they keep wanting more information before they make that decision. That's a horrible way to run a business, a program, to live your life. Never being able to make a decision, never being able to be decisive, just leads to this long, drawn-out agony. The most effective leaders are decisive. They get the information and they make a decision and they move forward. Now, they may not have all of the information. They may not make the best decision ever. And they may have some cleanup to do along the way. But they make a decision. And what they're very aware of is, if I've not made the best decision, more information will come in, we'll learn and we'll grow and develop from it, and it will take us to the next level. They're aware that you'll never get all of the information. There'll constantly be information coming in. So at some point, you have to move forward. And so decisive people get a sort of baseline level of information. They take that, they analyze it, and they make a decision, the best decision with what they've got at the time to move forward. And again, they know that they're still going to have to, fix a few things and adjust things. But at least they've made that decision. I was reading something the other day that said God gave us the ability to not necessarily make the right decisions, but he gave us the ability to make our decisions right. So we may have made a decision and maybe it's not the perfect decision, but then what do I need to do to make it right? Maybe I do need to go say something to somebody after, apologize to them. Maybe I need to go get, a little bit more help along the way. Maybe I need to, move it slightly to the left or to the right, whatever. But at least I've made a decision and I've moved us forward. No decision leaves us stuck, hanging here in kind of that mid zone, and nobody knows what to do. Nobody can do the next step, take the next action, schedule the next meeting. Nothing, because they're waiting for you to make a decision. So you have to learn that skill of being decisive. That's a skill that can be learned. So it's making decisions in timely manners. And also the other point about this is being able to make those decisions under pressure. Leaders are constantly under pressure. Leaders constantly have that stress around them. It's called power stress. The higher up the ladder you go, the more stress you live with on a constant basis. And so you need to learn how to make decisions under stress. When the pressure's on, when, everybody's looking at you and waiting for your answer, you have to be able to make decisions then. The best leaders, the most effective people, can take all of that, settle themselves down a little bit, and then make a decision. Again, it may not be the best decision, but once they've made that decision, then they can decide what they need to do to make that decision right, or to move forward with the decision and do what they need to do. Part of that is learning to trust your gut. We have this incredible thing inside us called intuition. And many of us get caught in our heads and think that anything in our gut is, wishy-washy and not right. Actually, our gut is probably more powerful than our cognitive sort of rational thought. And sometimes we have to learn to go with our gut. Sometimes we may not get all of the information. We may not have access to it all, or not at this point in time. And we just have to make a decision. And we just have to go with our gut. So we have to learn to use that intuition. And the other thing about being decisive is you have to make some really tough decisions. You are going to offend people. You are going to tick people off. You are going to have to cut budgets and reduce staffing positions, close programs, open other ones. There are decisions that you're going to make as a leader that are awkward and uncomfortable, and you're going to have to make those. You're going to have to take the information, weigh the pros and cons, look at it, in the best way you can, and make a decision. That's not always easy. That's going to take an incredible amount of courage. It's going to take a lot of trust in yourself and your team. And yeah, you just have to do it. So that's the first skill that you need to have to achieve good results, the right results in the right way as a leader. Is you need to be able to be decisive. You need to make decisions in a timely manner. You need to make decisions under pressure. You need to be willing to trust your gut. And you need to be willing to make some tough decisions. Decisiveness, a skill you need to learn as a leader, and one that can be learned. This isn't something some people have and some people don't. Decisiveness is something that can be learned. So if you're looking at what are the skills I need to learn to be the most effective leader, that might be one of them. Second one is this smaller kind of, the big thing we're looking at is achieving results, but that's actually a skill, is to achieve results. And how you do that is by setting goals, being goal directed, and actually achieving them. And so you have to be action oriented. You have to be goal oriented. You have to know what it is you want. So many organizations make strategic plans, and we have these big, high arching 1-year goals or 5-year goals as a big organization. And we have these lofty goals in our programs. That's great. And that's part of it. But then what are you doing with that? If you just take that and you never look at it again, it sits as a binder on your shelf. That's not actually goal directed. That's, taking a day out of your year and, doing some fancy stuff and then coming back to the real world and thinking that that didn't matter. It does matter. It matters an incredible amount. But what you have to do with that is then take that goal and then break it down into smaller chunks. What's the goal we're working on this quarter? What's the goal we're working on this month? What's the goal we're working on this weekend today? What's the goal we're working on as a program, as a team, maybe as two of us, or as me, myself, right? What's the goal we're working on? Ask questions if you guys have any. I have to have a drink here. If there's questions you have about these skills or how to attain these skills or where you can look for more, ask me. If you're looking for questions around how does this apply or something I've said not make sense, please ask me. I'm here to support your growth and development. I want to see you do the best you can do. So feel free to ask me any questions you want. Let me look at my notes to make sure. So when we're looking at those goals, we're looking at what's the goal I'm trying to achieve. And again, breaking it down into smaller chunks, and then what's the action I have to take. Maybe as a program, I look back at one point in time, we were running programs that were focusing on parenting. And at some point, we shifted and we're starting to get into more narrowing into fetal alcohol syndrome, FASD. And so we had to not only, learn what was going on provincially around the funding for that, the stuff that was happening provincially, politically wise, we had to actually learn, the mechanics of FASD and how to diagnose and then how to support individuals and families with it. There was a ton of training we had to do. So we had to look at, as an organization, how do we do that? Where do we find the funding for the training? How do we fit it into our schedules? What's the kind of training we're looking for? Then how do we bring that training back, that knowledge back, and how do we turn that into manuals and forms that we need to use for our programs, and how do we turn that into the day-to-day work we're doing with our clients? That was a ton of work. All of that had to come into goals and strategies and action plans. That's how you achieve results. You don't have this big fancy goal out here that says we're going to start this new program and not do anything with it. You got to pull that back, break it into parts, delegate it, make specific plans, take training, take action, set deadlines, do all of that kind of stuff. That takes a lot of work. That's a skill. Achieving results, being goal-orientated, being action-driven is a skill you can develop. And again, one you need to develop as a leader. Part of what you need to do that is to maintain high energy. When you're doing this work, it's tiring. It's exhausting sometimes. You hit roadblocks, you hit people who don't want to do it, you get sidetracked by other things that pull your attention. If you're going to achieve high results in your program, sometimes these aren't the things that get you the most attention, or the funder is not maybe, necessarily looking for these at this time, or maybe nor is your boss. So if you're going to keep some of these things in focus, you got to maintain that high energy. Again, that's a skill you have to develop. So if you're going to achieve results, first skill you have to develop is to be decisive. Second one we're looking at is being that person who achieves those results by being goal-directed or goal-oriented. The third one is purposeful and visionary, and this kind of comes back to what I was talking about at the beginning. But we all have a bigger purpose. We all have a bigger reason we're doing the work we're doing, the reason why we're on this planet. And as an individual, you need to connect to that, and as a program, you need to connect to that. We were not running family support programs or FASD programs because we wanted to make money as a program, or because we wanted to achieve certain standards, or because there was this, tick box that we had to tick off. We were doing that work because we wanted to make a difference in the lives of our clients. We wanted to make things better for them. We knew that many of our clients were struggling as a parent or struggling as an individual, challenged because they had grown up in abusive homes or in homes where there was tons of addictions, and those had affected them both emotionally, physically, and mentally. And how could we best serve those clients? How could we make the biggest difference for them? I'm often talking to clients who are working with people with disabilities. Same thing. If you're in this for the money, you're probably in it for the wrong reason. What's the purpose? Why did you get involved in this work in the first place? If you're a fundraiser, why are you raising funds? For what purpose? It's not to make X amount of dollars. There's a reason you're doing that. If you are working in a bank, if you are working in a municipal government position, if you are running a small business that sells widgets, for heaven's sakes, there's still a bigger purpose. There's still a reason you're doing this. And that's what you have to connect to, is what's that bigger reason? What is it that you're trying to achieve? Sorry, not what. Why is it that you're trying to achieve this stuff, this goal, this thing that you're working on today? Why are you having this meeting? Why are you filling out this form? Why are you hiring these staff? Why are you filling out all of these forms to get people paid? It's the work, the day-to-day work, but all of that has a bigger reason. All of that has a bigger purpose, and it's important to reconnect to that. That's what's going to pull you through those tough days. That's what's going to help you go back to that being decisive and being goal-oriented and taking action, is when you can connect it to a bigger reason. If you're sitting there and you're in the midst of having this decision that doesn't sort of feel very good and you're struggling with to make, and you can kind of take a step back and go, but there's clients waiting for me to make this decision. There are workers who need to do some stuff with clients, and they can't do that work with clients until I make this decision. That's going to help you be more decisive. That's going to help you say, you know what, we may not have it right, but let's just do it for now until we figure out the next step. This is going to take us one step forward, and then we'll move from there to the next step. That bigger purpose is going to help you make your decisions. It's going to help you set goals. It's going to help you take action on the days when you have low energy. It's going to help you move forward. In order to do that, you have to connect to that deeper purpose, and then you have to communicate it and connect to it to the people around you. Especially in leadership, we often move from the people we're working with to the tasks we have on our to-do list. The emails in front of us, the phone calls we have to make, the meetings we have to attend to. Those are all tasks. And while they're important, they're only half of the work. The other half of the work is the people we're working with, the reason they show up at work every day, and the impact we're making by the work we're doing. We have to keep task and people in balance. And while those tick boxes and those checklists and those emails and those meetings are incredibly important to do the work, they're only the work for the bigger purpose. And so you got to maintain that energy and communicate that bigger purpose around, why are we filling out this form? Why are we having this meeting? If we just have meetings once a week because we're supposed to, because it's on the schedule, we're wasting everybody's time. When we can connect that meeting to something bigger than us, then it has that bigger purpose. And that allows us to inspire ourselves, inspire the people around us, keep optimistic, keep the energy high, build that passion and that enthusiasm for our work. We got to do it from that place. So that's purposeful and visionary. And then the fourth one is strategic focus. Many of us are sort of head down in the moment, get through today, again, get through the to-do list and the emails and the meetings. This whole strategic focus is when we can pull back and say, what are we working on this month? What are we working on this quarter? How does that fit in with the bigger goal for the year? How does that fit in with what's happening in the sector that we're working in the community that we're working in the bigger global kind of purpose that we're involved in? How does my work sitting here at this computer or in front of this person or in this email, how does that fit in with everything else? That's that strategic focus. Again, this is a skill that you can learn as a leader. To be more strategic focused, more strategic driven, is stepping back and seeing the bigger picture, seeing how all of the puzzle pieces together, the budget, the meeting you're having with a funder, with a contractor, the staff that you're hiring today, the timesheets that you're doing over here. How does that all fit together in this bigger picture? When you can think strategically, just looking at my notes for a second, one of the things that you are able to do then is, again, look at all of those goals that you're doing and how they connect to each other, how this stuff I'm working on today moves that step next week forward, and that moves next month forward, and how that all fits together. But it also allows you to be strengths focused. I know that coming up in the next few months, we're going to have this really big project that's policy driven. It's writing policy. It's looking at developing policy manuals for a new program. Who's good at that? How can I keep in the back of my mind that a month from now, I need that person free or freer to do some of that heavy lifting on that project? As we look at, we're starting a new program. I'm using a new program just because that's kind of in the back of my mind right now. But you're starting a new program. You're going to have to do tons of training. Who's really good at training? They're the one I want to send on training to bring the information back so that they can help the rest of the people do that, right? Who's the person that's good at that? What are the strengths that I'm looking for when I'm looking for, who's going to help me be my sidekick as I get really busy? Or how can I strategically help the person over there who's really busy? That's that strategic focus. So those are the skills we need to look at. Decisiveness, action, or sort of goals oriented, results driven, this whole piece around purposeful and vision, and then strategic focus. Those are the 4 skills that you can learn, that you can grow and develop in yourself so that you can have this bigger skill of achieving results for the right reason, in the right way. And that's the important catch that we've been looking for all along today is, if you are going to achieve results in your organization, if you're going to achieve results as a leader, you've got to do it in a way that is meaningful and powerful, in a way that grows your team, inspires them, uses their skills, develops you and moves you forward, and in a way that allows you to go home at the end of the day. And feel good about going to bed at night, not crazy. So what you need to look at is, what am I doing? How am I doing it? And why am I doing it? Right? If I'm achieving results, I need to look at, what are the results I'm trying to achieve? How am I trying to achieve those results? And why am I trying to achieve those results? When you can nail down those three things, that's going to help you as you develop those skills of being more decisive, being, able to achieve results by being goal-oriented and action-driven. It's going to help you be more purposeful and visionary, and it's going to help you get there strategically by looking at the bigger picture. So those are the things that you need to look at as you look at this first skill set of achieving results, so that you can be that exemplary leader, so that you can be that lady who's going to make a difference and feel good about it. Any questions, pop them in below. Again, this is the first in 5 sessions that I'm going to do about the skills that you need as a leader. Last week we talked about the difference between management and leadership. So if you want to go back to that one, you'll see that there are different things that you're doing, different ways that you're doing it, and the skills you need to do them are different. You need to do both. You need to do both management and leadership, but they're different skills. Management is keeping the boat from tipping over. Leadership is taking it forward. So you need to keep your program stable so that it doesn't, fall apart as you're achieving goals, as you're moving towards that powerful vision. And these are some of the skills that you need to have to do that. If you have any questions, pop them below. If you are interested in joining the Confident Women Leaders group, I will put that link in after. The Leadership Circle profile, I'll put the link in for that, and the Women with Grit program as well. Any questions, put them in below. I will answer them after. If this has been helpful, please share it. It's important for other women leaders to feel connected, supported, building their strengths so that we can all be making our difference in the world as well. And make sure you have liked my Facebook page so that you get the link for next week's session. And next week we are talking about, I think it's strategic focus, but I might be wrong. I don't have it in front of me. Oh, totally forgot the other thing. I always have a guide sheet. And so this guide sheet for this week, if you pop on over to silverrivercoaching.com/guides, is called Achieving Results. And what it's going to look at is that difference sort of between achieving results and complying. I talked about, sometimes we are going along to get along. We are being wishy-washy. We are pleasing. We are complying, settling, putting up with, because we're afraid to be decisive. We're afraid to focus on the results that are going to matter. And so this worksheet's going to give you kind of a little mini assessment to look at where you're at between achieving results and complying, and give you some direction about, where is it that I might need to go to develop that skill set a little bit more powerfully within me. So again, silverrivercoaching.com/guides, you'll get that guide sheet so that you can do a mini assessment on what it is that you need to do to move from complying and maybe not getting the results you want to achieving results in the way you want for the right reason. Thanks for following along with me today, ladies, and I will catch you next week.